Okay, here we are. Now we're live. Let me just double check that we're live. Okay, here we are. Okay, there we go. So I'm trying something new. I'm using the YouTube audio library. I found some ambient tracks to play in the background while I play. The music in the game is relatively repetitive in Juno New Origins. There may be like 3 tracks that kind of repeat and are very dynamic. They come and go. There's either silence or just like random ambience. So I'm playing some YouTube audio library music in the background. Just some very ambient songs that I found. So picking up where we left off in Juno New Origins, we had completed several contracts, and we have even more contracts that we can complete moving forward. We have $2.47 million. I believe I did the last video I posted. I believe I cut out quite a bit because we had several launch failures, and then we kind of got stuck doing a contract that was exceptionally difficult. But being beyond that now and knowing a lot more about the game, I think we're better prepared to become a billionaire in this game. So we have tech points, we have money, and we have contracts. So we're gonna take all of these contracts. This one wants us to crash away from the village, easy, accept. This one wants us to go faster than 3,000 meters per second, easy, accept. This one wants us to launch 1 CubeSat at 102 kilometers apoapsis and periapsis, easy, accept. And this one wants us to reach orbit at this altitude, apoapsis and periapsis, accept. So we're going to try to do all of these contracts in a single launch. It's going to require some interesting techniques, but I believe we'll be able to do it. So the plan, the general plan is we're going to focus on getting the CubeSat into orbit where they want us to get it. And we'll have the extra delta V to get into this orbit. And then by that point, we'll have already completed light speed. And then we can deorbit and crash over 500 kilometers away from the village, completing all of these. And we should get about 1.2 million, about 2 million. We should get about 2 million from completing these. All right, so let's check out the tech tree. Kamal, welcome. By the way, I made a habitable planet, massive 9 Jupiters. Interesting. Is it a moon? Is the habitable planet? Oh, the size of the habitable planet is 9 Jupiters. I always thought it would be interesting how, like, in Kerbal Space Program, they have Lathe as a habitable moon around Jewel. Kind of like if Europa was a little bit different, and instead of having an ice surface, had an ocean with an atmosphere. I always thought that that would be very cool. A tidally locked moon containing liquid water with an atmosphere. You made its moon 1 millimeter wide? Or is that 1 million meter? I assume that's 1 million meter. All right, I don't know exactly what we should be going for. I think we have all of the tech we really need We can get new contracts by doing... Which one? They have the dollar, this one. New contracts. We get more max contracts, more active crafts, and it displays orbit lines. Yeah, we should get this one. It seems like systems engineers. Anything that gives new contracts seems like it would be the way to go. This will probably give us landing contracts, so let's go for soft landing. We already have the engines we need. And we'll take RC Enthusiast because it'll give us new contracts. We're going to take RC Enthusiast because it's going to give us new contracts and it's also cheap. So we'll just take it. And we have just enough for Bird Wannabe, which is even more contracts, electric motor, wing thickness, wingspan, wing chord, and control surfaces per wing. Oh, so you can have multiple control surfaces on a single wing. Interesting. Cool. You should make a dual star system where 2 stars are orbiting one another. I think those are fascinating. I think isn't Centauri, Alpha Centauri? Doesn't that have a dual star system? I don't know if any planets can actually orbit a dual star system. Their orbit would be very strange. I haven't really looked into that. Can you make a dual star system that has planets orbiting the dual star system? That is the question. And what would their temperatures and atmospheres potentially even be like? Because wouldn't their atmospheres and temperatures change based on their distance from either sun at any given point? And there's a possibility to have a planet that's lit on both sides all the time from 2 suns that has a oxygen-rich atmosphere with plant life on it that's like a super plant. Super plant planet. I don't know. My brain hurts now. Okay, let's get back to the career. Okay, we got a bunch more contracts from that. Oh, here. Okay, so we just got a progression contract from unlocking those things on the tech tree. And now we're getting to Luna Flyby. I think we're going to stick to our original plan. We're going to go back to the build. And we're going to descale. We're going to build a new rocket. We're not going to touch this rocket. Because as far as I recall, this could get into heliosynchronous orbit successfully. So let's start a new craft. Like Seasons, but worse. Oh, yeah. No, I'm talking about, like, you could have a planet that... Yeah, no, you're right. But Seasons, but worse. That's a great way to describe it. Okay, so we need to get the CubeSat as our payload. Oh, that's tiny. Yeah, let's not make the rocket so big. Okay. And then let's get the structural nose cone on top of the CubeSat. And we need our fuel tank. And this is going to be our... This is going to be our vacuum stage. Which I think we're going to put a Spirit engine on. Yeah, Spirit engine. Max size. Yeah, max size Spirit engine. Actually, it's a good balance right about 150. There we go. All right, my brain is kind of stalling right now, trying to remember what I've learned in the past. So we can make another fuel tank, make it even bigger. And then we want a chunky engine. Now we have to be careful, right? So this is the issue that we ran into the past. We used this Mage engine, and it's 2.3 million. Right now, our entire rocket is only 1.1 million. We have 2.9 million available funds. So we can't really afford to use this engine. We're only going to get about 2 million from completing this contract. So we have to keep that in mind, because any cost that we incur by launching the vehicle is going to be subtracted by the amount that we get from the contract. All right, so two things. This is way too large. Way too large. And the second thing, this engine needs to be max size. There we go. All right, let's go and do symmetry. If I right click and drag, I can just duplicate it, clone it, and then we just click this to do the same thing. And now we have a 104, 113. Yeah, 1.38. There we go. So that's going to be our solid booster, stage 1. And then our stage 2, yeah, see, our thrust to weight is so small. Our delta V is high, but with this engine, even with max size, oh, if we increase the throat size, it'll help. And we want like 0.5 at least, right? Get something like that. All right, is that gonna work? 5.94 delta V. How much does it take to... I think we're gonna need some cheap boosters. I think it's about 5,000 meters per second to get into Drew orbit. I think we're gonna need some extra tanks. But I have to remember, if I want to have this be symmetrical, I need to attach the motors first. Yeah, see, It's saying it must be connected to the root, which is really annoying. That shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't have to be. Why? Just why? Okay. Very strange that you can't do that. Those two are gonna break off. Why is our thrust to weight so terrible? I think we made this center rocket too thick. Yeah. I don't know if we have... Oh, I think that was why it wasn't connected. Yeah, I don't know. Having a, like, at first this building system seemed really intuitive, and now I'm just like, oh. Just not feeling it too much anymore. Okay, it's not, even though I just put more boosters on here, it's not showing a higher delta V. Four-star system did not end well. Yeah, that doesn't sound... I don't think there are such a thing in reality. Yeah, this isn't changing our thrust to weight, even though I have more engines on there. I don't know if I trust this thrust to weight anymore. See, that's the problem. Now I'm like, I'm wondering. I'm like, well, that thrust to weight didn't change. Now I'm wondering. Now I'm wondering. I feel like this thing can get the job done. Let's save it. I would be very surprised. Contract to test one, something. Okay. Also, I have to remember to check the staging. Ooh, that might be why it's messing up. Yeah, okay. There we go. It's because the staging wasn't correct. I have to remember that. Okay. Now it's making sense. Now I trust that thrust to weight ratio. Okay, but as far as this goes, I don't actually want this many thrusters on here. What I really want is to put more thrusters on this thing, but it's hard to do that. Okay, that's a way. That's definitely a way to do it. There we go. We are learning. We are learning. We're gonna be in the building screen for 3 hours, and then we're finally gonna launch, and it's gonna instantly explode. Okay. Didn't we have fuel lines? Did we have fuel lines? I can't remember. Why is it doing weird symmetry? What is that? Yeah, I want thin. There we go. And I want radial 4 symmetry. There we go. Okay. Because they would all collide or eject one or two, only one left, they all fly out. Yeah, that makes some sense. I don't think there are such a thing. I think the most that at least we've found have been 3-star system, right? Okay, this doesn't... There's stage 1 and then stage 3. The staging analysis doesn't really help. Let's get one in the center there, and then let's do this. There we go. Okay. That should be good. That should be good. All right, I'm gonna launch it. Let's just launch it. Let's go. It's not gonna get any better. Okay, we should be able to complete all the contracts. Yeah, the ollie pad is much more expensive. 10 times, over 10 times expensive. So we're gonna do it from the Juno Village pad. Ah, see, we can't launch. But that's the problem, right? So we can't launch such a large rocket. Mac, welcome. Bro, you have so big brain. How you learn these things? Lots of trial and error. Lots of trial and error. Yeah, so we've got to be careful also. I think we have to downscale. We have to do the same build except smaller, right? Because we're only going to make about 1 million from these contracts, and our launch is going to cost 2 million. So really what the game is telling me is stop trying to make such large rockets and make something small that's much more efficient. Also, we have to be aware of the height of it. The height is right here. We're already at 8.4 meters. How much does this cost? 12K? Okay, that's not too bad. Oh. Yeah. This is the... So there's a monopropellant type. This is the same type of engine. I didn't realize this. So the rocket engine has different types. It's still the Spirit engine. But you can use a different engine type within the Spirit engine. Interesting. Are we looking at in a vacuum? Yeah, we want to be looking at this in a vacuum. Okay, that's looking a little better. We're at exactly 10 meters. If I added, does the engine account for... Yeah, it does. These engines are more expensive. I have to remember. It's tough. So, like, I have to concern myself with the price. I have to concern myself with the Delta V. I have to concern myself with the stages. I have to concern myself with the height. There's a lot to consider, right? Like, I'm trying to meet a design requirement, and it's making me wonder if I should just go back to CubeSat Launch 1. Right? Because this thing succeeded. It did exactly what we needed it to, and it's exactly within the design requirements. Yeah, I'm just going to launch this thing again. We have to make sure, though, that we grab the proper CubeSat. Yeah, this one. There we go. And I'm going to change the color of this. So we can go active tool, paint tool, and then we can make this black. What should we do? Solar cell? That deep blue color? Kind of looks cool. All right, let's do that. CubeSat launch too. Now, that's the thing, right? Like, just because you had a successful previous design doesn't mean you're gonna make a new design that's gonna be even better. Sometimes it's best to just focus on a previous design and change it a little bit to try and make it a little bit better rather than building it from the ground up. What am I trying to do? Okay, staging. Craft looks great. Staging is good. We want to make sure that the CubeSat is deployed after this fires off. So the CubeSat is the last thing we do. This should do exactly what we want it to. All right, let's finally launch this thing. I've been streaming for 30 minutes. We haven't even launched anything yet. All right, let's go. Much cheaper and more efficient. Make a black hole system. Well, Wouldn't that technically just be a galaxy at that point? How do I... Okay, I want to make it daytime, because I don't want to launch in the middle of the darkness. Oh, that looks very eerie. It looks like we're on the edge of space right now. Yeah, I need to speed up time. Going at 500x speed. 2500x speed. Where is the sun? Okay, there we go. How long are the days on Drew? They seem very long. All right. So we have all of these contracts that we need to complete with this launch. So let me be careful and make sure that the sound volume is at 10% before I do anything. All right. Let's launch it. Let's go. 100%. Let's get the nav ball and lock our current heading. The flight info panel can go down there. We need to start heading east. That just allows me, the nav sphere allows me to easily adjust our heading without having to do manual adjustments. Staging coming up. There we go. Now I can turn up our audio, our sound volume. And I'm gonna just follow, what's our apoapsis? I think I'm gonna start following our prograde at this point. You got a black hole system first try? Yeah, wouldn't a black hole system just be a galaxy? I'm confused. Like at the center of a galaxy, there's a black hole, right? I don't know if that's correct. All right, our apoapsis is now high enough. Actually, I like to get to 80,000 just to be safe. Lock heading. I'm gonna cut the throttle and I'm gonna angle us on the horizon. Andy Black, welcome back. Good to see you. We're currently trying to get into Drew orbit. And we know this rocket is capable. We're burning off the last bit of this stage. Here's our stage delta V in the bottom right. And staging. There it goes. And time to apoapsis is decreasing, so I'm going to increase our angle slightly to make sure that we don't start falling back down. We may have been a little bit late on that burn. Yeah, I may have been a little bit too inefficient with this launch. I should have started burning sooner. We can relaunch though, it's fine. Yeah, we're gonna start dipping back down into the atmosphere, which is not good. Yeah, this is inefficient. So we need to get higher. And there goes the extremely loud sound. You'd think that they would, yeah, for a full release, like having to change my audio settings is far from ideal on every single launch. I'm unsure what this yellow X is on the nav ball. Target. Oh, the target is the Juno village, I assume, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit higher so we get out of atmosphere faster. That way we aren't getting drag all the way up. We go straight up and then we burn horizontally. And now we need to turn our audio back up. There we go. I don't care about fuel. I want to see our delta V and our apoapsis. This is feeling a lot more efficient. Because I didn't go full throttle, so we didn't hit the atmospheres hard on the way up. The faster you go, the more air resistance you experience, and the more delta V it takes to cut through. Once you're in a vacuum, the rules are different. Oh, oops, I just pressed spacebar. All right, let's retry. That's kind of why I like held off playing this game for a couple days. If I'm being completely honest. In this live stream. Like after playing 2 days of this game, I'm just like, I don't know. But I'm giving it another day. I'm giving it another day. It's not that I haven't been enjoying the game. It's that it's a lot to absorb mentally. And it's relatively unforgiving. Like, I just pressed spacebar instead of tab without thinking. And now we have to launch again. And each launch takes about 3 minutes. And it's okay. I get it. It's fine. But yeah, only want to be about 60% throttle. That way we can increase our altitude while not increasing our surface speed. That way we don't experience as much air resistance. Does it show drag loss here? This is what I'm talking about. The drag loss. Yeah, they need to fix the sound issue. Seriously. Like, just equalize the sound of the engines and make sure that the audio of them doesn't stack. But yes, this drag loss statistic is very important. Because the atmosphere, the air molecules are getting in the way, all the way up. And that causes friction and it causes drag. So if you go too fast, too quickly, it's like hitting a brick wall. You hit the atmosphere going fast enough, it's like hitting a brick wall. It's like doing a belly flop into the water. As long as our surface speed is increasing. Let's switch it to orbit. We don't need to crank the engine. We can have it at 50%. Now we can start rotating. Now that we are very close to being out of the atmosphere, I'm gonna get our apoapsis to 102 kilometers. That way I know we're safe and we won't start falling down and having a inefficient burn. Because if you start falling back down, you're fighting against the fall, you're chasing your apoapsis. It's not ideal. All right, we're at a high enough apoapsis now. I'm gonna quick save. And then from here, we will begin to burn once our altitude reaches over... we can start burning now. Yeah. I'm gonna start burning prograde. Because our time to apoapsis can't reach 0. If that reaches 0, we have a problem. Yeah, I think we're just not gonna make it. Well, we completed that contract. Yeah, we're just not gonna make it. I don't know what we did differently last time. We got this thing into orbit last time. I don't know what I'm doing differently. I think we just got our apoapsis too high. Let me turn the audio library music on. Yeah, get some sound going on in the background. Yeah, we're going... I think we're going too fast. We have re-entered going this fast in the past successfully. If we can at least get these two complete, I think it will have been worth it, right? But this stage is having trouble. This last stage. So... yeah, I don't know. There's the reflection on the water so we can see it. Coming in at 140 meters per second. Ah. And that, I'm very surprised that it didn't get destroyed. But we completed 2 of the 4 missions. So, yeah, the recovery cost will cost 1.6 million. So just destroy the craft. And we came out in profit. We came out with $800,000 from that mission. So it wasn't a failure. It definitely was not a failure. But this rocket as it stands is incapable of getting this CubeSat into orbit. I think that should be a little better. Let me go back to the career page. Let's check the contracts. Oh, 1.6 million? We can definitely reach this. Oh, we have to get to Luna now. Interesting. That's going to be quite difficult, but we get $50 million as a signing bonus. That's significant. That's over 10 times the amount of money we have in total right now. So I'm going to accept this. And then the jump is using a wheeled vehicle. Okay, so right now what we need to try and do is get to 4 kilometers per second. We need to get to orbit. We need to deploy these CubeSats. And ideally we need to fly by Luna, and we'll get an insane amount of money. This is the next step, right? We fly by Luna, we get 200 million, which is huge. So I will be right back, and then we will work on completing this. All right, I'm back. Let me get the BRB off. Oh, 6 likes on the video. Nice. Oh, and my other video just finished uploading just now. My Beyond All Reason video. Very cool. And it did get processed to 1440p. That's good to see. I like this YouTube audio library music. It's difficult to sort through the YouTube audio library, though. They should make... there should be a couple more filters. Right now, it seems very basic in terms of how you can filter through music. Like, there should be a way to like songs in the YouTube audio library. They can do some work on it. All right, so we have $53.9 million. We've accepted all of these contracts. And our goal now is to get the CubeSat, the Drew orbit, and the Lightspeed done. Then our long-term goal is going to be getting the Luna flyby. It's going to cost a lot, but we should be able to achieve it. So this rocket, we just added some more strength to it. Make that one max size. All right, we are maxed out on height. I don't think we can actually make this max size. It changes our height. See, our height is 10.1 meter. There, 10 meters, exactly. All right, let's save it and let's try. Save craft. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, the Ollie pad is significantly more expensive than the Juno village pad. 10.03 meters. Okay, so if you're gonna tell me that that's an error, then why don't you tell me the extra digit here? That's a little bit of a UI annoyance. So we're gonna go 9.99 then. All right. Being able to launch on the Juno village pad is significant. Being under 10 meters and below 3 meters width is significant because it saves me a lot of money. But the Ollie pad seems like it's closer to the equator, which is more beneficial because you have more rotational delta V. All right, let's launch it, but let's be careful about the audio. All right, let's go. Oh wow, that is exactly what I'm talking about. They need to fix that, seriously. This to lock heading and then have it go, yeah, the other way. So already our launch has been slightly inefficient. I wish I could drag this down. Gonna make a small galaxy? Do it. Nice. Yeah, that stage burn time is an important statistic. I'm gonna start burning lower. Our ISP is 275, that's good. Our altitude's still increasing, so I'm gonna speed up time. Our orbital velocity is now increasing. Yeah. Our time to apoapsis is still decreasing, but that's okay. I'm unsure if this engine... Our thrust to weight's 0.9. So I feel like it should be able to get the job done. No, it's not enough. It might just be enough. All right, we need to get to 102. detach the CubeSat. There's another 242,000. And now we need to get into this orbit. I think we're going to get to our apoapsis first. And then I'm going to burn exactly prograde. To get our periapsis up. And then I'm going to wait until our periapsis, which is in 22 minutes. And I am going to burn prograde. And this should get our... Oh, wait. Our apoapsis is too high. Okay, we need to go retrograde. Yeah, 165 frames when we are in orbit, just by the way. All right. Hold it for 5 seconds, and we just got $491,000. So we still have 349 meters per second of delta V. I'm going to wait until our apoapsis, and I'm going to burn retrograde so that we bring our periapsis down below 70 kilometers. That way, this will deorbit. I like this color, this like dark blue color. It's cool. All right, we're bringing our periapsis down. Using the last of our delta V to deorbit. I'm just gonna burn it all, may as well. We had a decent amount of delta V left over after completing those. So let's make sure we don't leave any debris in low Earth orbit. I'm angling us so that we burn up in the atmosphere. We should burn up. Maybe? The game really gives you the benefit of the doubt when it comes to re-entering. But now we are dropping rapidly. And at the last second, I'm going to point prograde. Once our... Altitude reaches about 5,000. We're only going at 90 meters per second. That's very clean. Why don't they design a rocket that can just dive into the ocean? Like, why do they need to design a rocket like the SpaceX boosters that can re-enter and then land? Why don't they just make one that dives into the ocean? You wouldn't need to spend all that extra delta V right at the end, slowing down. Right? It's easier to land on land, but how? How is it easier to land on land? All of the minor adjustments that need to be made for a precise landing on land with a landing pad, they've even landed them on ships out in the ocean. But wouldn't it just be easier to make them dive into the ocean and then they would, with like a giant net or something? Because then you wouldn't need to spend all that extra fuel and delta V and make all of those extra minute calculations to land. No, you put you can put a tracker on it. GPS is not, and they already, what I'm trying to say is they already land rockets on a precise landing pad after launching something into orbit with the Falcon 9. Why don't they just take that extra booster and have a giant pool of water and let it dive into the pool of water? I assume, well, depending on how you did it, it would be a lot of stress on the booster. But at the same time, you're saving all of that extra fuel and delta V and all of those calculations by just allowing it to dive into the water instead of having to do this precise landing. No, you could just have a net underneath it. You just have like 20 meters of water, and then you have a net underneath it, and then you lift it out of the water. And then you'd save yourself probably like, what, 300 meters per second of delta V? If we're talking about getting into orbit, right, every single meter per second of delta V needs to be saved and taken into account. So why wouldn't you save that delta V at the end instead of wasting all of that delta V making a precise landing? Why not land on a giant cushion or something? Like, why worry about landing legs? Landing legs are heavy. Why worry about all those calculations that need to be made, which any of which can go wrong? And then why need to worry about having a landing pad that needs to be constructed and designed? You need to get the exact splashdown location, and if you don't have parachutes, we'll say bye-bye. Yeah, but that's not hard. That's easy compared to landing on a precise landing pad. They've landed the Falcon 9 booster on a ship out in the ocean on a precise landing pad. I just don't understand the logic of it. It's cool, but at the same time, like, why not just use parachutes and land and put it in water? Use a drogue chute. How much does a drogue chute cost? It's a lot of stress on the vehicle, but you could design it in a way that makes it really smooth, and you just use the atmosphere to slow down instead of firing off your booster. I think that the booster already does the reusable booster already does use the atmosphere quite a bit to make adjustments. And then right at the end, it fires off the last of its thruster. But that's the problem. The whole way down and all the way up and the whole way down, you need to save a little bit of fuel for that last thrust. And I don't know if anybody's seen, but there have been plenty of explosions in attempt to land a reusable booster. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. That was the general idea behind the Sea Dragon, right? Yeah, we can't recover it. But the thing is, most launch pads are already right off the coast. Why not just use parachutes? Exactly. Because if you have parachutes are relatively light, and they used parachutes for the Apollo capsule. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not a rocket scientist. I play video games that simulate rocket science. And I'm just thinking like, well, parachutes are cheap, but then again, you have to worry about the parachutes failing. But then again, redundant parachutes are less costly than having an extra 1 to 200 meters per second of delta V to slow down at the last second. I don't know. It's just an interesting thought. How long have I been streaming? Hour and 22 minutes. Yeah, the YouTube audio library doesn't autoplay in the background. It's kind of unfortunate. Maybe if I make this its own... Yeah, you just have parachutes landed in the water. I understand salt water is corrosive, but getting it out of the water and then rinsing it off with clean water would not be that difficult. It would not take that much energy compared to the amount of energy it takes for the booster to slow it down with that extra fuel in the fuel tank, which it had to bring all the way up with it, right? So it's just an interesting thought. They should just make an airplane that has a giant net on it that can catch the booster as it falls back down to... No, just like these crazy ideas. So yeah, now we have 54 million. Our next goal in this game is going to be... All right, we have another CubeSat. 3 CubeSats this time. And a very high orbit. This we could probably get done with our Luna flyby in conjunction with... yeah, we have 50 million to get this done. And we have to complete it in 59 days. So this we're going to have to do a big launch. We're going to have to make a big rocket, big launch on the alley pad. Yeah. That's going to take quite a bit. I think my brain right now is a little bit fried. I think that we did pretty well, and we're all set up to get this Luna flyby completed. But I don't know if I have it in me to design a multi-stage rocket in order to complete this mission right now. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here. Kamal, thanks for hanging out. I'll probably play more Juno New Origins in the future. I'm having a lot of fun with BeamNG. I'm having a lot of fun with Beyond All Reason, which is a completely different type of game. It's a real-time strategy game, but it's an awesome real-time strategy game. It's the best real-time strategy game that I've experienced since StarCraft 2 came out over 10 years ago. So it's that good. And as for Kerbal Space Program 2, I'll come back to Kerbal Space Program 2, but the current state of KSP2 makes it nearly unplayable due to multiple issues that I've run into with struts disappearing and wings falling off and rover wheels bouncing around and all this other stuff that I'm just unwilling to deal with anymore. Yeah, I saw Hearts of Iron 4 just had a recent update, I believe. But yeah, this was a good time in Juno New Origins. I'm having fun getting these contracts completed, but I'm taking my time with it. There are a couple issues that I've had with Juno New Origins. The main one is the sound of the rockets being so different and having to change the volume. Most of the issues I've had with this game are minor compared to KSP2. And some of the building in the game is a little bit unintuitive. Like I have to disconnect one thing in order to add something and add symmetry to it, which I should not have to do, but it's okay. I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for hanging out, and I will be on in the future with more Juno New Origins or BeamNG or Beyond All Reason. We'll see what I feel like playing. But yeah, GG's.